usually when you get some confirmation by, an Xbox higher up or whatever, that would be like a time of a good thing, like a time of celebration. People would get happy, but that's not exactly the case right now. And for some reason, as we kind of look to the future of Xbox, we're left with this weird sort of situation where we're not exactly sure what's happening. We're just all kind of along with the ride, and I think we're all in the same situation. But I think the fact that when Xbox does speak up about things now, a lot of people, and rightfully so, very much look at Xbox as this bad kind of situation, in this bad situation, and they look at Xbox as kind of liars, and because Microsoft has really lost that ability to win people over. They've lost that trust, almost like what happened with Sega. And trust me, I was around for the whole Sega thing. It was like, I remember, they come out. I had a friend who bought a 32X, right? And it's funny because the advertising on the thing when you buy a 32X is like, it's no flash in the pan or whatever, but they supported that thing for only months, and then you could buy it, on sale for like $20. And originally, I think it was like $199 or something. So, they screw people over, Now you have Microsoft going, okay, well, we have this handheld that's $1,000, blah blah blah. It's a sad situation, you know what I'm saying? Because Microsoft changes what they do so often that it's not really fair to the fans, I think, and it's like we never really quite know what's going on. And now they're like trying to set the record straight because there's always a lot of these rumors and things, and unfortunately, they get talked about, but can you really believe it? Because it always comes back to, especially with Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer, they just come across as very much not trustable, not reliable. And, just think about it, right? Like Phil and Sarah sat up there on that stage talking about it's just 4 games, right? And then we all know what kind of happened from that point on. And it was nothing good. You know what I mean? Just 4 games ended up going and being a lot more. But they are kind of talking about new hardware and a first-party handheld. So over the past couple of weeks, Microsoft Xbox has been dealing with more hate than usual. Hot off the heels of mass layoffs over the summer, Microsoft joined other companies in raising prices of its products. But Game Pass Ultimate took a strangely egregious 50% price hike, and the consoles took 2 price hikes in the matter of 4 months. Now, the past week, Microsoft shared a statement confirming that it is still all in on next-generation Xbox hardware, contrary to rumors that began to grip social media and gaming blogs in its wake. Microsoft just released the Xbox Ally handheld in a partnership with ASUS. This PC gaming handheld is also called the wave of consternation owing to its Xbox branding. The device cannot run Xbox games from the console. The Xbox Ally is a PC handheld in every way, shape, and form, but it does front-load Xbox services and features. It does support dual license play anywhere console and PC games with cloud saves, and more are coming, but it's still, people are kind of fielding questions, even from journalists who are unsure what this device actually is and does. Very confusing. And listen, if you guys, I know probably maybe not a lot watch or remember the videos that I did, but I did videos around their big summer showcase, and I said, the sad part is people might buy this thing and be confused, and I saw a lot of confusion, on that. Basically, and what happened was, people thought that because it's like it plays your games, plays your library, and it doesn't really do that. So that's an unfortunate thing when you think about it. So Sarah Bond reflected on the price of the Ally and Ally X, which are $600 and $1,000 respectively. That's before tax, but it's also away the simple fact that ASUS isn't a platform holder. Xbox, PlayStation, and devices like the Steam Deck can be subsidized to some degree because the platform holder expects to make money on software sales. Bond emphasized that this is an ASUS product ultimately, and that the firm sets the price, so you shouldn't expect to see any sales reflected in Microsoft's quarterly earnings from this. Bond noted that it was beneficial for ASUS and Microsoft to work together, though, which, again, we'll have to see long-term what happens there. It's cheaper for Microsoft, sure, but at the end of the day, this thing probably won't be a great success. I think the biggest problem is, trust, so we'll have to see. When talking about the prices and ASUS and stuff like that, she said, and I quote, We looked at how do we create multiple options for people, and it was really ASUS because this is their hardware. That is all of their insight into the market, into the feature set, into what people want to determine the ultimate prices of the devices. She noted that Xbox and Windows have been working more closely than ever to make the gaming experience better for devices like this, and to partnering with ASUS helped them to really begin to transform the experience and take it to that next level in a way that they could do partnered much quicker. Microsoft tabled its own handheld, reported exclusively over the summer to focus on its partnership with ASUS, but sources were pretty adamant to emphasize that the first-party handheld was only paused. It's very rare that paused devices come back from the proverbial dead, although it has happened at Microsoft before. Again, Microsoft is indeed, according to this, still intended to build its own Xbox handheld someday, but hey, someday I plan on losing 100 pounds too, so we'll see how that works out. This is what Sarah Bond had to say in response to the question about Xbox making its own hardware and its own handhelds. Quote, "We are 100% looking at making things in the future." That's a weird thing, looking at making things in the future. We have our next-gen hardware in development. We've been looking at prototype designing. We have a partnership we've announced with AMD around it, so that is coming. What we saw here with ASUS was an opportunity to innovate in a new way and bring gamers another choice. In addition to our next-gen hardware, we're always listening to what players and creators want. When there's demand for innovation, we're going to build it. Obviously, her comments could still be taken as cautionary if you're concerned as an Xbox customer. Obviously, like, some people are taking this as like the sure thing, but see, the cool thing is I'm reading this from Windows Central and they're like take it as cautionary, looking like the words that they choose to use are very interesting, and so that's something that I feel like people should kind of keep that's one of those things that obviously people really look to and say, hey, like, Xbox is, they could change anything, right? Microsoft has been pretty flaky on supporting its consumer products over the years, eager to cut and run at the first sign of trouble or competition. There's a litany of killed-off products in the Microsoft graveyard. A shareholder hype and fads call on funds to be allocated elsewhere, like the AI bubble. So basically what that means is you see people like Microsoft is like, okay, well, let's do this, this, and this, and then the shareholders are like, no, AI, that's the future. So then they have to cut things, and that's what happened with like them canceling games, closing studios, and all that kind of stuff. So obviously, Microsoft short-term products has been pretty bad. They have tens of billions invested in Xbox via acquisitions, tens of millions of heavily engaged, high-spending players on console, and a vastly expanded pool of casual gamers on mobile. The Xbox Ally offers a subset of games for Xbox console users, but Microsoft has also invested hundreds of millions in cloud architecture. Microsoft Gaming is embedded in every level at Microsoft overall's business strategy. So, I doubt we'll see Microsoft release any gen AI built games in the near term, but we could see, who knows? Like, they love this type of stuff. We'll have to see. Xbox's strategy could end up being too fragmented for consumers to care for, undoubtedly, but we'll have to see how that goes. Basically, Microsoft always is a little bit early, but again, the fact that they'll say this and you look at it and you have to look at the words like you're decoding some kind of puzzle kind of tells you all you need to know about Xbox, right? It's like not trusting them is basically, I think, the smart thing to do. You have these companies, Sarah Bond sat up there and talked about how much money Game Pass was making, and then they raised the price by $10 a month, right? Despite the backlash of people, saying, hey, we're going to move and leave Game Pass, and obviously we have no reason to believe that people didn't leave Game Pass. Despite all those facts, we still look at this and we can kind of see that they obviously didn't care enough to stop what they were doing and not raise the prices or whatever. So we'll have to see how that goes. I think it's interesting when stuff like this happens. And the fact is that people, you'll have some Xbox fans that'll just be like, well, there you have it, proof positive, no doubt about it. But then you have to also realize that look at what leaked out during the Activision trial, right? They were going to release a cylinder Xbox Series X. They were going to release, a new controller with haptics. They were going to do all this stuff right? And they didn't do any of that, right? They canceled all that stuff. So yeah, it wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility for them to cancel things, for them to change directions. Look, they were going to have their own in-house handheld, pivoted, and then it was an OEM, right? Why couldn't they do that with hardware as well? Like, it's not beyond the realm of possibility. So let me know what you guys think. Rack 'em up. Prep Gamer out.